I really love that song. She did an amazing job remaking this. Welcome back to another chapter of Mortal Kombat Vengeance. Last time, we just encountered Kenshi as we were heading through the Sarna ruins, which according to Jade, it was her next door neighbor to her desert. And Kung Lao just actually decimated an F3. Actually, no, it was a dust devil, but it was still a tornado, and he was able to decimate it from the inside. But thanks to Kenshi, he was able to catch him as he fell, and we actually get to meet him. Sonya, Jax, and Johnny reunited with him, but Aiko actually drifted away as she heard the mighty Makiba drums, and she couldn't resist them. So, following the drums, she actually became one with their tribe for a while, as she was under a trance. And as much as Kung Lao tried, he was unsuccessful until Kenshi stepped in. He was able to take out Konga and restore her mind, albeit dazed, and he was able to help retrieve the Dragonfly. So, now the heroes have their own airship through Outworld, and Aiko was resting with Kung Lao by his side. So, I actually like Kenshi in Mortal Kombat. So let's get this thing going. God, I'm on chapter 8 already? Continuation 8 Stragglers. The Dragonfly continued to drift northeast toward the Deadly Alliance's dark auras. Kung Lao still remained by Aiko's sleepy side for hours on end. Even Kiba, Kenshi, and Nightwolf took turns on accompanying him and made some conversation along with Liu Kang's spirit to make the journey less bland. The cardiokinetic was still asleep despite the conversation, courtesy of the airy main deck and the white noise from the propellers which negated the yapping. Even the cryomancer, Sub-Zero, and Frost, who were sparring, didn't disturb her. With nearly a mile above the ground, Jax was still piloting the ship, while Sonya and Johnny were keeping a sharp lookout as co-pilots. It wasn't easy trying to scan through the thick canopies for their missing comrade, Cyrax, though Sonya suggested they should spot a shimmer of goldenrod metal, as indicated by the arm console in her possession. With that tiny tidbit in mind, Johnny for once took off his $500 sunglasses, and the female agent continued to look over the helm, until a sudden, lustful glimmer caught her keen peripheral vision. "That's him! It's Cyrax!" "Tell the guys to hold on! I'm taking this baby down!" She did so to everyone. "We've reached Commander Cyrax, everyone! Prepare for landing!" The Ice Ninja picked up. "Cyrax! He must be!" Koi looked over yonder, and Frost was surprised as she came to the same conclusion. "He isn't inside that hollow volcano, is he?" The vessel landed gently as the rotors began to slow down. Kiba was licking Aiko's face to awaken her. She moaned a few times. Kiba. Wolf was the first thing she saw, and she reached up groggily to pet him. She thought they'd reached their destination already. "Aiko, the ship is landing. We have found Cyrax." "Cyrax? We think he has just entered that dormant volcano." Her eyes boggled. "A volcano?" Johnny responded as if reading her thoughts. "That guy's insane. He would literally melt if he's still inside his metallic body." "Perhaps not, Johnny. The Lin Kuei cybers are incredibly adaptable. They've been built to endure all environmental hazards, making them supreme machines, built for perfection." "Like the Borg, anyone?" "The Eagle has landed. Let's be underway." Jax was lucky he spotted an open plate just large enough to land the Dragonfly with no interference, unless counting the nearby foliage with its slicing propellers. The passengers' bodies began to lurch a little as gravity took over, but they still remained steadfast upon the gradual descent. Nightwolf ordered his companion to sniff Sonia's arm console, then he smelt the air and almost immediately perked up his ears and made a few howls. "Keep us picked up something. It should be Cyrax's scent." Jax noticed unusual talon tracks. He presumed they belonged to that shadowy bat who abducted Cyrax earlier, while there were some deep holes next to them. He followed Nightwolf and Kiba while sticking closely with Sonia and Johnny. They soon arrived near an enormous tunnel after forcing some thick debris away. Actually, it should be detritus. Kenshi halted the rest of the team with an outstretched arm. He then extended it toward the aperture. "There's some incredible heat and pressure emanating from that tunnel." "How do you know?" "I can feel it. I've noticed my blindness allows me to enhance my other senses sharply. I can already feel the thermal temperature covering my arm. It's extremely volatile. I doubt anyone would be able to withstand the intense dry heat for long." That got Sub-Zero's attention. Intense heat. He had a flashback of him and his comrades falling onto ledges within a fissure Shang Tsung conjured, courtesy of his elemental orb which manipulated the forces of nature. A callback to Defenders of the Realm. Lava was steaming beneath their feet and Kwai was beginning to feel lightheaded and feverish quickly.
It is a miracle we are all still alive. Well, we won't be for long in this blistering heat.
Your fate rests in Raiden's hands. Having defeated Liu Kang, I have had a taste of vengeance. Tell Raiden that unless he comes, I will close the fissure and crush the life out of you. We will be ready for you, Raiden.
He banished that reverie from his mind as he shook his head. "I should take a look." Frost offered to go with him, in which he accepted. "Are you sure you can make it, Grandmaster? Please, allow me to help." "All right, but if the stifling climate should be too much for you, get out. I doubt the special agents shall endure this." Lao took out the golden dragon amulet as he heard Lu's murmuring beneath his tough top. "I should be of some assistance too. I know I can't do much in my astral form, but I'll see what I can do." His Shaolin brother nodded his assent, allowing Lu's spirit to leave the artifact and follow the team in. "Stay frosty, boys." Together, Sonia, Jax, Johnny, Kwai, Frost, Hanzo, and Lu traversed through the opaque cavern. The interior was arched and snug, yet there were no pitfalls. Hearing an echo of a familiar digital sound, the ice elemental halted, then recognized it belonged to the Cyberlink Quay Initiative. "That sound! I know this from anywhere." He heard another mechanical noise. "It's Cyrax!" The group stopped short as they reached a deep slope descending into some magma and small islands. The infernal orange light illuminated from below with the boiling, bubbling magma just several feet down. Already the gang felt the same intense heat. Kenshi warned of reaching their faces. They spotted Cyrax as they gazed down and found the mysterious bat creature Jax spoke of from the distance. They actually noticed it's a woman and a sort of vampire, not the natural Chiropterans. Jax was flabbergasted while Cyrax was following that creepy vampire bat to that thermal place. The cryomancers faced each other and nodded before they conjured icy trails and slid down the slopes. Everyone stood still as if their feet were frozen, but Liu Kang chased after them, with the green aura leaving a sudden though weak whoosh in his wake. They ran down the cliff until they reached the ends of the aisle, and Kwai was fearless as he needed to retrieve his ally from a former defunct and deadly organization. Frost heard horror stories involving the Cyberlink Quay, and she wished to never participate in those horrid experiments to enhance her skills and ways of living. Take that, Mortal Kombat! And Chronica especially. She was happily contrary to live as an imperfect human, Kwai admired her for her determined choice. It wasn't seen beneath her veil nor Frost's, but they could have sworn they smiled in admiration. Just several feet away, Cyrax was seen trekking for something unseen. Sure enough, that vampire bat was beside him. "I know it's here. I can see the sparkling beneath the magma surface, but I can't get to it." "It's Natora." He spoke. "I can't scan it. This dead heat has been disrupting my circuits. I shall go into it myself. It must be confirmed."
"Do it!"
A few moments, the yellow robot leapt into the deathly depths with a single plop. Kwai's face became pale as he observed the horror, watching his distant ally take the plunge. "Cyrax!" He hesitated as the dry heat would hinder Frost. However, since he possessed the legendary dragon medallion, he may be more resistant, unlike his unlucky experience while he was trapped in that deathly ravine. Frost felt just as worried, being so helpless, and she was startled. He went ahead. As soon as he reached the exact pinpoint, he stopped sliding and simply dove into the lava pools. The thick flows barely made him see Cyrax to the bottom and run toward a shiny orb with minimal effort, almost like how Samus would retrieve an upgrade utilizing the Various suit. Cyrax's metallic armor made it easy to walk through, and he found that said blanche orb in a matter of seconds without scanning. As soon as he found the missing treasure, Kwai swam with all his strength down through the pressure toward the comrade. Cyrax noticed him, looked up, and activated his jets beneath his feet, lifting him and Kwai through the thermal surface. Frost and that vampire humanoid noticed the breach, and Cyrax dropped onto sturdy ground. Kwai was very spent as he sat onto the basalt, heaving. Quickly clutched the medallion, which seemed to be unaffected as cool mist surrounded him and Cyrax. Frost couldn't bear the suspense in conjunction with the unrelenting heat anymore, though she was glad her master was all right and found the missing cyber. Slowly she treaded away and reformed the distant agents who were waiting in a cooler, darker location. Upon receiving the news through some huffing, Sonya was ecstatic. Kwai found Cyrax alive and well, but they had their doubts being submerged in lava. Still, they couldn't traverse further into the dangerous volcano, even surprised it hasn't erupted yet. "Cyrax! You can't stay here! You're hurt!" Kwai said, his dry throat tickled, causing him to cough hoarsely.
"He's not leaving till I have what I desire. Where's that orb?"
"Ugh, god damn it, Natora!" Cyrax took out the white orb, illuminating as bright as the surrounding lava. "What is this?"
"That is the key on breaking my realm free from Outworld's cruel shackles. I am Natera, and I come from the conquered realm of Paternus."
Cyrax's body began to short-circuit, blue sparks licked it, and he was also in thin smoke.
"Hurry! Give me that orb!"
"Oh, wait. Hurry! Give me that orb!" Kwai took the spherical object from his friend's hand and lent it to Natera. All she did was gaze into it for a few seconds before she ascended with her pointed, open wings and slammed it onto the basalt, shattering it in a loud trickle. Thick white mist enveloped the ground as it expanded and soon evaporated from the many shards. "What happened?" Natora rose her hands and conjured a little magic. She released her energy while she rose a leg, and a neon portal was forged. "Go! Hurry before the aperture closes!" Despite his weakened, crippled state, Cyrax obeyed when he limped toward the opening, where a holographic image of lush forests was displayed like a projection. Surely it was Earthrealm, and the portal closed as soon as the OIA agent entered through it. Natora looked at the male cryomancer who was struggling to stand.
"I am finished here. My realm has been saved."
Before Kwai could make an objection, she just flew away with her extended wingspan. leaving him suffering. He never had the strength to protest that self-minded wretch. I was never into Natera, to be honest. Natara. Come here! It was Hanzo. Kwai's body was pulled away from the rocky aisles and up the steepy slope. Hanzo then pulled him up. He reached down and carried him over his shoulder. The ninjas met up with Frost and the Special Forces. Dropped Kwai. Blue's spirit offered to enter his body to relieve the pyrexia. He was certain he'd ease it since he has done externally, unlike his sharings with Kung Lao's vessel. Sonya ran toward the duo. Sub-Zero, are you all right? She cried. Her voice became clearer thanks to the relief from the medallion. Yeah, I think so. Frost immediately gave him her frigid thermos. Same one that helped to treat Kung Lao. That sure was a close call, Hanzo. For once being, he wasn't nervous by the former Spectre. Next to the station Dragonfly, the other combatants were still awaiting the ninjas and Special Forces. There was a ruffle within the brush, and Kiba let out some snarls. They were ambushed by some outworlder thugs. And it's a little reference to something. According to Katana, those were homeless bums, though weren't Tarkatans. So, when the shadow emerged, Aiko was shocked. You! The mutant was bald, and he looked as if he sneered with his skinny orange eyes and pointy fangs. The cardiokinetic came to the conclusion he was Baraka, who licked his fingernail fangs as if claiming her as his next meal. No, listen! No! You listen! Kung Lao rushed toward the duo. Baraka! You lay your hands off her, you bastard! Wait! He's not here to attack me. Are you? Pulled her up to her shaky feet. What are you doing here? Stated he also came from a different time, the same way she did. Only his departure was more recent though just as sudden. He wasn't how and why, but as soon as he spotted her during his wanderings, he knew when and where he was. Kung Lao was impressed he knew Aiko, but also appalled, never forgetting the invasion on the academy and fighting in a gruesome battle within the soul tombs. Baraka actually hung his head in shame on what he'd done. Alright. Baraka actually hung his head in shame on what he'd done, even serving Shao Kahn when his tribe was enslaved by cruel warlord. He came from a different time period when Tarkatans lived peacefully along with the Saurians, as well as repopulating their species, though they still functioned as excellent hunters and scavengers within their own camp. Lao queried Baraka how he knew Aiko, and he gifted her a red staff, which he names the Quan Dao, given to her by Queen Sindel. The Adenians were surprised they actually had an allegiance with the bloodthirsty Tarkatans, since they were banned from the palace, at least not in his time period. They suddenly grew curious over the benevolent warrior. If he recalled correctly, his malicious kind should be at their goal, Shang Tsung's palace. He also said he was hoping to find a subordinate reptile, but no such luck. Everyone was dumbfounded, yet Kenshi read his mind, and he was actually speaking the truth. Just then, the meeting broke as the heroes saw Sub-Zero and company leave from the mouth of the volcano. Sonya recapped that Cyrax has been found. However, Natara helped him escape from the outworld via portal and returned home. He didn't stay long enough to retrieve his missing arm console. Poor Cyrax. Baraka explained he was chasing after Reptile, and he worried he mustn't enter the mouth of that volcano. There's a dragon egg incubating in a nest with serpentine wings. Sonya wondered, and Baraka summarized it belonged to the lost Dragon King Onaga. Lao asked why it wouldn't be inside the lost tomb. Katana stated his cultists must have migrated it in order for it to hatch, since an egg required heat, and the desert was too violent. If he recalled correctly, his Tarkatan tribe must be assisting the Deadly Alliance on resurrecting Onaga and his undead army at Shang's palace. They're not too far from it now. Kenshi was enthralled. Well, isn't it lucky for you we just happen to be heading your way? You must have an army to back you up, Jade added. Actually, Sindel has the Shokan on standby, but we covered so much ground they might not make it. You may need my help, more than ever. Lao was dumbfounded. A Tarkatan? Helping us? How would that work? Well, I used to work with Katana Khan before I was abruptly sent back. I too came from a devastated future, Aiko. Katana Khan? As in ruler of Outworld? He nodded, mentioning that Shao Kahn was still alive, and the anti-hero was involved in a civil war watching his kind be slain by Jade. The female ninja became speechless. He also stated who that bat-like woman was. Natara, one of the Moroi, spent a very long time trying to find the key that bound her realm to Outworld. The orb, however, was inaccessible, but fortunately for her, she had spotted the Outer World Investigation Agency wingman Cyrax. After seeing Reptile as an easily exploitable fool, she presented him with a Kairahashi blade, an artifact of Zatira, and revealed to him the location of Katana's military encampment. He foolishly offered his services to Natara and pledged to serve her, and she commanded him to attack Cyrax, thus the severed arm console, disabling him from traveling to other realms. The main reason Baraka was trying to find him was he could just be the Uberus of Onaga. Everyone went deathly silent, trying to process every nightmare highlighted, including the masterless, foolhardy reptilian, to cause even more mayhem than they could possibly imagine. Clearly there was no time to rally up their reinforcements now, even if they would contact Sindel miles away. It was unmistakable that, much like the powerless brother gods, it can only be won by mortals left with their own devices now. And I had to leave a cliffhanger here. Here are the songs for that. This was a very difficult chapter to put together, including the soundtrack. Sorry if some entries appear to be repetitive, but I had dirt to spill. First off, that random segment that I came up with the homeless Outworlders ambushing the combatants, that was roughly inspired by that disturbing scene in which Eddie Barzoon gets killed in The Devil's Advocate, another Warner Brothers property. I always hated that movie, and I thought it was about damn time to give them some lethal payback. It and Mortal Kombat are WB properties, after all. Speaking of which, I was involved in an MK roleplay recently and made several fast friends there, including roleplayers who are Baraka and Sindel. They, along with Kung Lao and Fire God Liu Kang at the time, inspired me a lot, that I wanted to include the Tarkatan as an anti-hero than an enemy, as an act of redemption for his previous crimes, even in the Wuxi attack. Much like Reptile, he too needed to preserve his race, thus being close buds in the RP. This was a tricky idea involving him, even putting him as a time traveler from another dystopian future, much like Aiko. The red staff, the Quan Do, was that same weapon Sindel offered to Aiko during her story, MK Legends, as the cardiokinetic trained under her and became a more powerful warrior, even more superior than my version of her. So, in a way, since Jade, amongst others, always abused the biggest loser, I just can't resist anymore. To all my new friends, whom I still have, from the community, thank you so much for making Aiko as a vital warrior, and me as a role player, which I do occasionally. I really do appreciate you all, even those I had a fallout with. I didn't have much of a role to give to Natara, not too crazy about that combatant. So would the future Baraka change the outcome of the battle? Find out later. Until then, this is the Ikran Riders signing out. See you guys later.